Hi everyone, this is Dr. Tom Gerard, and in this video I'm going to be going over the differences between managerial accounting and financial accounting. Typically you may have taken already financial accounting and now you're starting your managerial accounting course, and this is what you're going to find in the very first chapter where they discuss the differences between financial accounting and managerial accounting. So let's get right into it. So this chart is one that I've used for years, and even though this book has been published in many new versions, I still go back to the early chart because it's all here on one page. Now I'm going to go to some other information. I'll put on where you could purchase a good managerial accounting book in the description, or maybe the one that you're using for your class is also listed. So first of all, when I first encountered my first job as I promoted up, I should say, in accounting, I went to work for a new organization, and I walked in and I had gone to work for what was the chief financial officer at that time, and he introduced me to some of the people in the department. And one of the things he said, "Here, this is Joe. I want you to meet Joe. He is the past." And he said, "We are the future. Our department and my focus is on the future." And I thought that was so interesting because, again, at the time I really didn't get it. But as you'll see here on number 2, the time focus of financial accounting is historical. It happened in the past. And the focus on managerial accounting is the future. So financial accounting is about preparing financial statements. We'll look at that more in detail in a minute. But, you know, financial statements are prepared for things that's already happened. So if there's somebody out there that could say, well, what was Ford Motor Company stock selling for in 1929 when the stock market crashed in the Great Depression? Somebody knows that because it happened, right? You could have said, well, what was Ford Motor Company stock this morning when the stock market opened? And what was it yesterday when it closed? Well, you would know that because that's historical. Now, the interesting thing about the future is if you really know the future, you need to be buying a lottery ticket or something. I don't know what it is, but you know, there's no way to tell the future. We can only make good guesses about the future based upon past information. So time focus is really the one that I like to start off with because that's where I was first introduced to the whole concept of managerial accounting and what do you do in managerial accounting that's different. And so we focus on the future. So next, you'll see number 3, this kind of takes on that same idea. If it happened in the past, we can verify it. Did it happen? You know, well, yeah, it happened in the past, so we can verify what was that stock price. Well, we can verify that, right? If we're looking in and we're doing our financial reports and we're just, doing journal entries to record expenditures that's happened in the past, we know, well, how much did we spend for this supplies or this inventory? Well, we can verify that because we have receipts and paperwork and all that to see what it was that we actually spent. But managerial accounting is on the relevance. Okay, how relevant is this to what we're trying to do? You know, we're looking at the future, and if this information is not really relevant, then we don't need to verify it. We just need to determine whether or not it's something that we really need to be focused on, right? So precision versus timeliness, emphasis on precision. Again, it happened, it has to be precise. If you know a good financial accountant, a person, those people that love their numbers, and they'll come in on Saturdays. You know, you work with somebody and they're a financial accountant. Oh, we're off by, $50 in $1 million company. We're off by $50, but we're all going to come in on Saturday and try to find where that $50 is. You know, they love that stuff. And it's great. Those people are really valuable to your organization if you don't have them. Maybe you're that person. You're a very valuable person. They want precision. They want to know exactly what happened, how can I verify it, and how much are we talking about? Managerial accounting is emphasis on timeliness. How important is this information to us right now? How is it, and the truth is, in the real world, what happens, right? Oh, the boss is coming in at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and we need this information now. Financial statements, we prepare them at the end of the month or the quarter or the year, but we want to know our, what are we going to do is about this new asset that we're thinking about purchasing. We need to purchase this new asset. Our old ones broke down, our machines broke down, or our cars broke down, or trucks broke down, and we need to just make a decision now on whether we should repair it or should we go forward and get a new one. So we're really emphasize, we need to know now, right? Timeliness. Subject, focus on the whole organization. When you do your financial reports, if you're a publicly traded company, you have to report on the whole organization, and that's all part of the, which is the number 6, is generally accepted accounting principles. We have to follow the rules, and the rules say you need to focus on, you have to report on the entire organization. That's why, when you invest in a company, you need to know that you're looking at everything. Is this the whole company? Well, it better be. In the old days, companies could hide things. Since we follow the new regulations and follow GAAP, GAAP is short for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, that you have to follow prescribed formats. We all follow the same rules and regulations, mandatory for external reports, right? But look at this. Hey, this is the whole organization, and I like to use companies like Pepsi and Procter and Gamble, Mars Candy, because they have a lot of things that you can look at as far as segments within the organization. So PepsiCo owns Pepsi Cola, the beverage company. They also own Frito-Lay, and they own Quaker Oats. And so they have 3 major segments. When they do their financial reporting, they have to report all of them. But when we're interested in a segment is just a piece of the organization. Managerial accounting is interested in segments. So I want to know, out of the PepsiCo, how did the Frito-Lay division do? And within the Frito-Lay division, how did the Dorito division do? And under Doritos, how about the Cool Ranch Doritos? How did they do? And how under the Cool Ranch, was it the great big bag like you buy at Sam's Club or Costco? Or was it the little bags that you buy in the vending machine? Each one of those is a segment, and there's people in managerial accounting that are interested in that. You want to interest in your profit margins and your sales and all those things. And that's, because we're interested in all those things, we don't need to follow GAAP. It's not mandatory. We use what works for us. So you can see I've kind of gone down the whole list, but really number 1 is the users. You can tell by what I'm talking about with the Doritos and the Frito in PepsiCo that this is about managers making decisions about the organization and segments of the organization, and we're planning and controlling the organization. We want to know which bags of Doritos sell the best at a given time, or what promotion we should run, right? And that's all, most of the time, proprietary information that we don't want our competitors to know. We don't want them to know. Well, so we don't want external people necessarily to know what it is that we're doing, right, to control and plan for the future. Now, the users of financial information, external people, people who make financial decisions. Am I going to invest in this company, or am I not going to invest it? If I'm a bank, am I going to loan this company money, or am I not going to loan money? So those are all external users. So not mandatory. You use what works for you. Do we have to do certain managerial reports? Well, in some cases you do. If you're a government agency, which means not only what we think of the government, but city, county, school districts, most of your water districts, fire districts, those kinds of things are going to have to do a budget that's published and available to the public because they're funded primarily with tax dollars. But if you're not, and I'm Frito-Lay and Coca-Cola or Pepsi, then I'm not obligated to do any of these reports. I do what works. Okay, so I'm going to go to another slide here and we'll look at some other things. So now in this text, they give you a little bit of an idea. So financial statements, of course, are our four main financial statements that you learned about in financial accounting. And really the goal of the whole class of financial accounting is preparing these financial statements in a proper, generally accepted accounting procedure, GAAP methods. Okay. So managerial accounting reports, well, we talked about the budget. Now, you don't have to have a budget, but it's a great idea to have one. And you study in one of your chapters in managerial accounting, you go in depth into budgeting. Activity analysis, production reports, these are all kinds of things. Lots of different types of reports. They're internal reports. Now, look here, objective. Nature of information, objective. That means, like we said before, verifiability. Can I verify these numbers? I need to know that they're correct. How about over here? What says objective and subjective? So if I'm doing a production report, I might do a objective production report of what we've been doing, but I'm also going to guess, like, well, what are we going to do next year? What are we going to do next quarter, right? Subjective. Users, internal and external, we talked about that. And guidelines for preparation, GAAP, we talked about all these. Timeline, company as a whole, segments. Now let's go here. Here's financial accounting. Our four financial statements prepared according to GAAP. And I know we're reviewing, kind of going over this again. But what about our external users? Let's get this up here where I can see it. Shareholders. I want to invest in the company. Do I invest? I look at the financial statements. Creditors. Do I want to loan them money? Government agencies. Hey, the government's always interested in how much money you're making, right? Because they want to tax you on it. General public, and another thing that you don't have here that I see in a lot of the books is what about the employees? Think about nowadays in the world we live in where major companies that's been around for over 100 years are going bankrupt, out of business. You're interested, right? If you're an employee and you want to know whether you're going to have a job, is this company going to be around? Is it viable? Maybe you're thinking about getting a job there, and you have a job offer between two different companies. Isn't it a good idea if they're both the same pay and all the other things that you might look at? Maybe you need to look at the financial statements and see which one's in better financial position, right? That's all financial accounting. It's all publicly available. In fact, I like, and let's go here for a moment. Here's Yahoo Finance. I like Yahoo Finance for beginners. Now, as you get more advanced in reading financial statements, you can go to Morningstar and some of these others much more complex and has, more detailed information. But, really for beginners and people that are really just being introduced to this, you can go to Yahoo Finance and they're pretty good for this. So here's Amazon as it is today. And wow, that's a lot, right? Okay, but here, if we look at over here, here's the tab that says financials. So I can just click on that and you'll see the first thing that comes up is their income statement. Here's their balance sheet, Amazon, and their statement of cash flow. Now, I'm not going to go through that because that's for another video. But the idea is all this information is readily available. You can search publicly traded companies and put in Amazon 10K report. That's their annual financial report. It's really the best information you'll ever see. But you can see that this financial information is available. And remember, when we're talking about managerial accounting, it's stuff that we don't necessarily want our competitors to know, or anybody for that matter. It's internal decision-making reports. Okay, so here's another slide designed to meet the specific needs of companies' management, right? And we kind of discussed the Doritos, and managers are trying to determine which is the best-selling Doritos at the given time in the given location. Historical data, we look at past data, provide objective measures of past operations, not necessarily even financial data, but production reports, things of that nature. And when we want to, we have subjective estimates about future decisions. Okay, daily operations, planning the future, developing business strategies. This is all part of management accounting. And one of the things I say about managerial accounting is that we all may have had a manager at one time. We have this mind. What is management accounting, especially if you've never been exposed to it? So first of all, you either are a manager or you know a manager, you've been a manager, you work for a manager, and you have this idea of what a manager is, right? And sometimes it's a good idea, and sometimes it's a bad idea. Like, wow, I never want to work for anybody like this ever again, right? But that's management. And then there's the accountant. What do we have in our mind when we think of an accountant? Well, typically we think of the financial accountant, the guy with the tin key and the tape coming out the back onto the floor. Maybe the person that does your taxes or something like that. That's kind of our idea of the accountant and our idea of the manager. And management accounting is the blended information, the blended role of those two fields, because the manager is making decisions and the managerial accountant or the accountant is providing the data. And so I hope that this has been helpful. I know it can be overwhelming sometimes and to really understand, because managerial accounting is really a whole different field than financial accounting. So I really hope if you're taking managerial accounting, and if you're not, you should, because it's a great class, and there's a lot of great information in there. So take managerial accounting, and thank you very much for watching the video. Hey, this is Dr. Tom again, and I appreciate you watching the video. Hey, subscribe to my channel if you would, and I'll be doing some more videos on entry-level business stuff, classes that you take when you first start business school. And hit the bell, and it'll notify you when I release another video.